Well, just before we came back, we were discussing this name. Can you imagine? We were debating a name. Is it Tobias? Is it Tobias? I'll go with Tobias. He goes with Tobias. Joining us on the set tonight is Tobias, or Tobias if you like it, Alando. He's the head of membership at Kenya Association of Manufacturers. Why would you prefer to be called Tobias instead of Tobias?
Again, like I said, it depends on where you come from. So long as you know the spelling.
I come from the mountains.
So long as you know the spelling, I don't mind.
You don't mind?
Yeah, you can call me Tobias or Tobias.
Tobias.
Yes.
Thank you so very much indeed
for
being kind enough to be here again.
Thank you.
I wish we can get the slide that is telling us a very interesting story. Let's see whether we'll get it. How is the state of manufacturing in Kenya before we get to that slide?
I would say we are trying to grow as per the ambitious plan of the government, moving from 9% to 15% by 2022. And you remember we stagnated at around 9 and 10% for the last 11 years. So it is really an ambitious program by government to say, how do we move to 15%?
To 15%.
Yes, so slow but sure.
Slow but sure.
Yep.
Very good. Some statistics here. When you look at Kenya's total export in the year 2013,
yes,
502 billion Kenya shillings. This has grown by about 92 billion shillings in a span of 5 years to 94.1 billion shillings.
Yes.
Can we say we are serious? A whole economy?
We are taking each step slowly.
Slowly?
Slow but sure. Because there are various factors that you need to consider. At the moment, the world is flat. The markets are open. Anyone can import from anywhere. There are a lot of trade agreements that have come on board. So competition is real. Technology has come on board. So it depends on how your manufacturing sector as a country prepare itself and is able to compete with other worlds, with other countries.
Are you trying to say that we have not been competitive enough?
I wouldn't say that there are other factors that create competitiveness in a country. You have the predictability of the economy and the environment for doing business. You have issues of market access. You have policies and regulations within a specific country that will determine whether you're competitive enough or not. If you look at the European countries who we aspire to be, they concentrated so much on the smaller businesses to spur the growth. And that is the direction that the country is also taking to see how can we strengthen and cultivate the smaller business, the SMEs of this world, so that they become bigger. The moment you concentrate on just the bigger companies, then your growth will really not be there.
So there is something that we are not getting right. Is that what you're trying to say?
I'm saying there is something we're getting right.
And there are things we are getting wrong.
No, I wouldn't say we are getting them wrong per se.
What would you say?
But I would say that the trajectory and the purpose that the government, ambitious plan the government had, if we had it 10 years back, by now we'll be looking at different figures.
We'll be talking about 1T.
We'll be looking at different figures.
A different figure altogether.
Yes, yes.
Tell me this.
Yes.
How do we move from 594 billion shillings to a T worth of exports in the next 5 years? This means doubling, right? Our exports.
Correct.
What do we need to do?
We need to sort of create a conducive environment for doing business.
Describe conducive for us.
Conducive means reduce the cost. Right now, we are about 12% uncompetitive compared to other manufacturing entities, manufacturing in other countries.
Why?
Which now the government is addressing. One of them is the cost of power.
Cost of power.
Which is a huge factor in any production. And
it is proper to say that a lot of effort has been put into that,
yes,
including offering rebates.
Yes, a lot of efforts has been put, and we want to see that rebate in terms of application, because the regulations just came in the other day.
Yeah.
So we want to see what will happen in the next few months on application of the rebates.
Yeah.
That would have a ripple effect in terms of reducing the cost, making you competitive.
By what margin?
I would say it depends, because the larger power consumers, they spend a lot on energy. So depending on your category of consumption, but you'll get a minimum of 5 to 10% rebate, which in the industry is worth something. If you compare yourself with, for example, Uganda, Ethiopia, and all that, the cost of power in those countries is minimally lower compared to ours. So you're looking at a company producing here, competing with someone producing in Ethiopia, and you're selling in the same market. That margin alone is not enough.
Help me understand this, Tobias, because for a long time, manufacturers were complaining about the quantity and the quality of power that we have in this country. We know this, that the government has managed to grow our power generation from around 1,500 megawatts about 5 years ago to the current 2,200 and something megawatts. Yet our consumption, the highest we go is 1,700 megawatts, which means that at any given time we have a reserve of 500 megawatts.
Correct.
Why do we still have manufacturers complaining about the cost of power?
Now, like where we are right now, we are not addressing, or we are not concerned much about the quality and the distribution of power. It is there. And reliability of power. It is there.
Yeah.
Right now, the major concern is that cost.
The cost?
The cost of power, which with the rebates that
how much
the
are you
government,
paying,
the government,
per unit,
11 shillings and all that.
11 shillings.
Yes, and all that.
And this has come down all the way from 17 cents.
16 cents.
16 cents.
Yes. I mean,
and you still complain?
We're not complaining. Yes. That's why we're having discussions with government, and the government came up with rebates.
Yeah.
So through these rebates, we want to see how much will be reduced. Again, we are looking at that bottleneck of 12% uncompetitiveness. Yeah. If it is reduced even by 5%, then you're ready to compete.
We are ready to compete?
Yes, with other countries.
The because
you look at every country is trying to compete. It's trying to attract manufacturing. It's trying to attract industries into their country. And what they are doing is set up industrial zones, set up, reduce the cost of power, and open up agreements where their countries can export different products from wherever they are. So it's a tight rope that we are walking in terms of competition. Yes.
Tell me this: power or the energy cost component in any product is about 40%.
Yes.
So let's say if the government was to bring down the cost of energy to, let's say, from 11 cents to about 7 cents, what effect would this have on the cost of finished products?
Of course, it would reduce the end user, the customer, you and I, will be able to buy the products at an affordable rate. And that means accessibility to the common goods that we need. Right now, everyone says some goods are too expensive. And why are they expensive? One of them is because of the related cost of production. Yes.
For example, help me understand this. The government has ensured that the cost of power has come down from 16 cents to about 11 cents. The cost of bread 5 years ago was 50 shillings. Today, it is still 50 shillings. Why?
There are a lot of factors. You see, when that bread is produced, it is not just produced from there and then you buy it from there. The logistics cost. Is there infrastructure to take that bread to the consumer? And how much does this cost you?
How much the risk?
Yes, how much does it cost you to move your goods to the end consumer? There are other factors that...
So this comes to the other question that I had.
Yes.
So it's not just power.
It's not
there
just
are other
power.
factors.
There are other factors.
Enumerate them for us.
There are other factors, like I mentioned, there's the logistics, there's the labor cost.
And logistics, you're talking about issues like transport?
Issues like transport. Transport is both ways, movement of your raw materials from the port or wherever you source your raw materials to the factory, and then movement of your goods from one area to another. There are taxes that you need to pay. The taxes that come from the national government, the numerous taxes that have come from the county government. Yep. They all contribute to ultimate the cost of a product. Yes.
Okay. Let's look at another interesting scenario here. Why is it that our total exports to Africa has come down from 46% in 2013 to 37% in 2017? Why aren't we selling as much to Africa?
You know, you're basing the assumption that Kenya is the only country that is selling.
Even in 2013, there were many countries.
There were many countries, yes.
Same with 2017.
The competition is real.
So we are not keeping up with the competition?
We need to keep up. We are not. We need to keep up with the competition.
Failure to reach that figure is likely to come down further.
Of course, both from the private sector and from the legislative, the government side. We need to keep up with the competition.
Is there a magic wand to ensure that we keep up with the market?
Just the cost. Reduce the cost of doing business.
The cost is the key here.
The cost of doing business, and focus also on
apart from addressing the cost of electricity or energy, if you like it, what other area do you think, if the government was to put a lot of emphasis, then we'll see cost of production in Kenya coming down significantly?
Logistics is one of the key costs.
That's a big word that you're using. Break it down for us.
Logistics. You know, when I say logistics, it's a lot of stuff.
Yes.
Okay. You have the shipping lines, you have your transporters, you have the distributors, you have all the people in the value chain transporting your goods or distributing your products. So logistics is huge. The attributed cost to logistics that need to be addressed.
Is there one component of logistics that you feel, if it was to be addressed, then the scenario would change dramatically?
There is no one specific component. It's just the general logistic work on infrastructure, and that the government has been doing. But we'll see the ultimate ripple effect in the near future. If infrastructure is done properly, we're able to move your goods from one place to another at a reduced cost and faster, then you're able to compete in one way or the other. So logistics, for me, it's key. Cost of power is key. The cost of production, basically labor in this country is not cheap compared to other countries. It is not cheap. So we need to address that. And then there is issues also getting skilled-based labor. You can get labor, but getting skilled-based labor on specific sectors is really critical.
Interesting.
Yes.
Look at EAC. We used to be the king. Our dominance is waning from 54% in 2013 to 51.3% in 2017.
Correct.
If Kenya was a business, the board of directors ought to take drastic measures on the management, right? Because no one would put up with these kind of figures. Tell me this, why are we losing the East African market? And to who are we losing the market to?
Basically, the East African market, if you look at Uganda as a country in the last couple of
which is our largest exporting market.
It is, but they have really grown in terms of now industries, creating more industries. Their power is much cheaper, and they have a vast of raw materials. They're building many industrial zones within their country. So it's just looking at, they have relooked at their strategy, and they're working it well to make their industries competitive. They're attracting more businesses or more industries even in their region.
You don't see the hand of China in this?
In terms of imports that are coming in, of course, that's an issue that we would say, for you as a consumer, if I put two items, they're of the same content and all that, but one is cheaper, you would easily buy the one from China because it's cheaper. China worked on their all value chain and the related costs long time ago. They rely so much on volumes, while we only do smaller items. So we can't really compete with them in that context, but we can compete with other African-related countries. Yes.
Tell me this. There is no way we can compete with China. Even the US is failing on that front.
Correct.
But how do we ensure that we remain afloat in the era of an aggressive China?
Intentionally attract those industries and say, instead of exporting your finished products to this country, we are giving you an opportunity to process the goods in this country and export or sell to the local market and the regional market. So it has to be a revision of a strategy and say, why don't you attract them to do the same products that they're exporting into our country, to do them in this country? They will create employment and the economy will grow in one way or the other.
Tell me this, you were talking about Uganda, which is a fact.
Yes.
They have managed to put up almost 3 industrial parks
yes.
in the last 10 years.
Yes.
Our neighbors in the north, Ethiopia, have managed to put almost 10. In Kenya, the last time we put up an industrial park was in 1992 in the name of Export Processing Zone in Athi River. We've been talking about the Dongo Kundu economic zone. We've been talking about the Naivasha one.
Yes, yes.
Are we serious when it comes to walking the talk?
I think in terms of implementation, that is where we need to improve. We have brilliant ideas, like the Mombasa, the Ngokundu plan is an excellent idea that will attract various investors because of the proximity to the port. So you produce and export to other regions. So in terms of ideas, we have them. Numerous ideas. Implementation is what is lacking.
And where is the disconnection?
I wouldn't answer that because I'm not in government.
Please try. Well, you're in this country. You know how we do things.
What we do is suggest and say, for you to spur economic growth, develop those industrial zones within the country, attract more industries in this country, and obviously you.
Well, that is common knowledge that we need to develop them.
Yes.
The question is, why aren't we developing them?
You need to ask the policymakers. You need to engage.
I know you engage
with the government. We do engage with the government. What do they say? They're working on it. I mean, it's in their plan.
Do you ask them for how long will they work on it?
Yes, we ask them. And in fact, one of the things that we've been putting to the government to task on is the growth of manufacturing sector. From 9 to 15% is not a small thing. You need to do a couple of things to grow the industries in this country.
What would you do, given a chance?
What I would do, basically, is try and reduce the cost of doing business.
The cost of doing business?
In this country.
Tell me this. Are Kenyan goods marketable?
They are.
To the international world?
Definitely. Definitely. Like I say, the world is flat. Anything that is produced here can be sold anywhere in the world. We have companies that are producing textile and apparel products that are worn in the European and American markets. They're done here in our country. So it is very much possible with technology and technological know-how that we have, that we can get. You can do anything. I mean, nothing stops us.
Nothing stops us.
Nothing stops us.
Let us now look briefly at the next slide. Helen, if you can get me. Let's go to the next slide. It's also telling us a very interesting story in which we should be concerned as a country. This is a state of imports, total imports from Africa and around the world. Look at this. In 2013, our total imports bill was 1.4 trillion Kenya shillings. If you compare that with our total exports in 2013, which was about 502 billion shillings, then you realize that our import bill is almost 3 times higher than our export. Look, in 2017, it was 1.72, whereas our total export bill in 2017 was 594 billion shillings. Really, are we heading anywhere?
Looking at the figures, no, it's not the right direction. It's not the right direction.
It's not the right direction.
It's not.
Why are we having this kind of a scenario?
I would repeat it again. We are really competing with the world. I hope everyone would understand that. So when you're setting up an industry in Kenya, you're not setting up to compete with O'Brien.
You're competing with the rest of the world.
Yes. If you have a notion of setting up an industry to compete with your counterpart here, you're getting it wrong. So whatever I'm producing, I need to compete with someone from the UK, someone from the US, because I need to be able to access even those markets.
So the question is this. What is the problem here? Is it that we do not know these? That we are not competing against Kenya?
Yes.
We are competing with Africa and the rest of the world.
Yes.
197 countries.
We should just ask ourselves, what are the other countries doing to attract investments?
And what is this?
Some countries are offering free land and reduced cost of power, taxation, reduced taxation for a period of time. Why can't we do all that? That is a question we need to ask ourselves, because it's happening.
Is it doable here?
In Ethiopia?
Do you have enough land to give to investors?
There's enough land in this country. There's enough land in this country. Just fly around and you realize there's enough land. It's very productive land that is not utilized.
By the way,
yes,
almost 50% of our total import bill is on petroleum products. We have started exporting oil, though in very insignificant numbers. Do you expect this to change going into the future?
Definitely would have an impact. The discovery of oil will have a larger impact on the import bill.
It will have an impact.
It will have an impact.
Orlando, because we have to wind up,
yes,
I have some very, also, it's not all gloomy and hopeless situation on the ground, because in the last 10 years, allow me to enumerate very fast, some of the gains in the Kenyan manufacturing space. I can share this with you.
Yes, yes.
I don't want to be greedy at all. You can read as well.
Yes.
We have seen Volkswagen expanding their capacity in Kenya.
Correct.
With an assembling plant in Thika. French automaker Peugeot has also done the same. Ashok Leyland, which is an Indian truck maker, is in the process of setting up an assembly line with a capacity of about 1,200 buses. I don't know how to pronounce this word. Is it Wrigley's? Is it Wrigley's?
Wrigley's.
We know they have managed to set up a 5 billion shillings plant in Machakos County. Tatu City is also expanding. We saw the other day Bidco oil companies opening up, was it a 40 billion shillings?
40 billion, yes.
40 billion shillings industrial complex. We have also seen Keroche breweries embarking on an expansion plan of about 5 billion shillings.
Correct.
East African breweries as well. They are opening up a new plant in Kisumu.
Yes.
It's not all gloomy.
Yeah.
There is some light at the end of the tunnel.
Correct.
What are your parting words?
If you see the investment that have come into this country, that shows you there is a confidence. There's a lot of confidence that things may change. And there's a lot of confidence in the industrial sector. And Kenya, being a regional hub, presents a very good opportunity for manufacturing companies to set up. So despite all the challenges, every country has a challenge. Even Ethiopia, the way it's growing, it has also specific challenges. So every country has their own challenges, but ultimately, Kenya remains a very conducive hub for industries to set up and access other regional markets.
At the end of the day,
yes,
each country must identify their challenges,
of course,
deal with them, and identify the opportunities,
correct,
and exploit them.
Correct.
Shall I bid you farewell?
Thank you, sir. And just to remind you, we are also focusing on we have actually established an SME hub,
okay,
SME manufacturing hub,
yep,
that's trying to build the smaller industries to grow, because they are the future of the larger industries in this country. That's what we realized.
That is music news,
yes,
to the ears.
Yep.
Orlando Tobias, or Tobias
O'Brien.
You are dismissed.
Thank you, sir.
All the best.
Thank you.
Tobias Alando is the head of membership at the Kenya Manufacturers Association, joining us here to try and put the figures into perspective.